Now this thing, this big circle I drew, is called samsara. Who's heard that word before? Anybody? From me? Yeah, okay. So, what does it mean? The wheel, yes, it means the wheel. So this is a big wheel that I drew. When I spoke it into my phone once in a texting, I said samsara, the phone heard some sorrow, which is perfect because that's really what it means. Some sorrow, although the book would probably emphasize a lot of sorrow, okay, but it's a good way to think of it. Some sorrow. It's a wheel, and it's a wheel that we're all stuck in, if you will. And you're going to be in it for eternity unless you figure out how to get out of it. This is the process of reincarnation, which we're going to go through. The whole process is involved that you're going to go round and round this wheel until you figure a way out. And it's the same way for everybody, which is sort of an important feature. We all got to figure our way out. And if you don't get out of it, you're going to keep going through sorrow again and again and again. So it's an important feature to recognize the sorrows involved. Now, I've got a little section down here. This is the physical life section. It's where we are right now. It's a teeny little spot. It's relevant, not for this book, but it's relevant to us right now. You're going to go through some sorrow here. This is Buddha's first noble truth. Life is suffering. Going to go through some sorrow, right? Well, book starts with the expectation that here you will have died, right? That's coming. Anybody surprised to hear that? You're going to be dying at some point. There's about 4 different phases that I'm going to go through with you today, primary phases or bardos as part of this wheel. And the first phase is, well, they're all interesting, but the first one is very striking and very dramatic and very important. At the moment that you die, or in the very first few moments after you die, there's an opportunity for immediate liberation. That's because there's a spot, if you will, in this samsara, where this great white light appears. Now, if you've heard about people going through near-death experiences, you know, they sometimes say they see a light. Well, 1,500 years ago, that's what the Buddhists were talking about too. There's a great white light. They call it luminosity, or a ground luminosity. What it actually is your essence. It's the nature of mind. It's actually you. But if you didn't spend your time during your life learning to recognize that, because you spent time during your life thinking that you're physical, this is where ego comes in. If you think you're a physical being and you're all the isms, right? And if you think, you know, I'm a white American male living in Pittsburgh kind of thing, and that's what I am, and that's what it's about, I'm not going to recognize this white light. And it's an important distinction because it's given to you immediately right there. I've heard it described as a flash of lightning. How fast does that go by? Right? If you don't know to recognize this, it goes by like a flash of lightning. And now you're going to go through the rest of the wheel. Okay? But if you recognize this as what you are, or as what the book describes, the self-liberating luminosity of your own mind. Self-liberating. Why self-liberating? Who liberates you?
Yourself.
Just you, right? You've done it. You've earned it. And by the way, 7 billion people on Earth right now. Who does this apply to? All 7 billion, okay? It's why it's fair. Every single person has to learn how to recognize the nature of their own mind. It's self-liberating luminosity. And as you wake up, and as you start to wake up and have this luminous experience, the white light becomes obvious. First of all, you feel it inside of you, and then you'll know to recognize it. I've also heard it described as if somebody goes to shake your hand and you don't think it's a friendly person, you may not shake its hand or his or her hand. But if it's a welcome person that you're looking forward to seeing, you'll not only shake their hand, you'll give them a big hug. That's what this white light needs to be for you. You need to recognize it, you need to know it, you need to feel its peace, and you need to run into that light. If not, like a flash of lightning, it's going to go right by you. And the handshake gets pulled away from you. And then you'll miss it. And so therapeutically, when you're feeling warm and peaceful, that's because you're in the right place. And if you're not, it's because you're not recognizing it. You're in an ego place. And that's always consistent, always true all the time for everybody. So if you fail to recognize that this is you, the luminosity is you, it continues. The path continues. And you move into this place where what gets presented to you are what's called peaceful deities. I spelled deity right. Did I spell it right? Close enough. Deities. Peaceful deities. Now it's probably I-E. Yeah, right. No big deal. So I'm not clinging to specific spellings of things. It's all good. I've released it. Peaceful deities. That comes next. In the peaceful deities, the book actually describes experiences of like seeing rainbows and stuffed animals. It actually says stuffed animals, and like, you're going to see what's described as all random imagery from your former life. Okay? Random imagery starts showing up. And it starts out as peaceful, which is to say pretty pleasant. And if you're experiencing something pretty pleasant, are you thinking of it as external or internal to you? Like say you're watching a movie that you like, or watching your child play or something like that. You're thinking your kid's over there, and you're not thinking that this is coming from my own mind somehow. But it's what you have to do. You have to recognize this as a projection. If you fail to recognize this as a projection, you have to continue to go on. But you see peaceful things, pleasant things. In the Course of Miracles, it talks about how you've got to watch out for the good things that happen to you, because they're going to keep you stuck just as much as the bad things. You have to recognize that what you're experiencing in the peaceful deities aren't actually occurring. They're dreams, they're manifestations, they're coming from your own mind. And it's a pleasant experience, which is nice to have a pleasant experience. But if you don't recognize that you're dreaming it, because you're still asleep, then the wheel continues.